Welcome to the Oasis, my name is Mike, and today I'm going to be talking about Larcenauts, a brand new multiplayer hero shooter made from the ground up for virtual reality. The game is due out today, the 17th of June, on Oculus Quest, Quest 2 and Oculus Rift headsets via Oculus and Steam for $29.99 in US dollars, $22.99 in British pounds. I'll be showing gameplay from both the PC and Quest versions in this video. Please note though that Index, Windows MR and Vive headsets aren't supported in the Steam VR version at the time of this video, but will be supported in a future update. The game is cross-buy on Oculus platforms and cross-play between Quest and PC players. Now, I've had access to a near-final version of the game for a couple of weeks now. Some of this time I've played online with other content creators, see how many you can spot in this video, and the rest of the time I've been playing alone with bots. The game is from Impulse Gear, the same developers behind the excellent PSVR exclusive shooter Farpoint, which is why so many people are so excited for this game. Now, in this video, instead of just showing you some gameplay, I'll be explaining the various game modes, maps, progression system, characters, and ultimately talking about what I like about the game, and also a couple of key things that I really don't like, so make sure you stick around for the end of the video for that. I hope you find the video useful, and without further ado, let's dive in. So, Larcenauts is the first big hero shooter to come to VR. Think Overwatch meets Valorant in virtual reality, and you get an idea of what Impulse Gear was shooting for with Larcenauts. Does it land the shot? Well, not completely, but first, let me talk about the various game modes, maps, and characters. On release, the game will feature 6v6 competitive play across 3 game modes and 4 maps. The game modes are pretty standard, with Refuel, which is a hold the point mode with 3 nodes, A, B, and C, which you have to secure and defend. You then have Uplink, which is a capture the flag mode, whereby you have to grab the intel drone and take it to the uplink to upload the data. The drone is essentially a ball, so it can be thrown amongst players, creating some interesting play possibilities. And finally, there's a classic team deathmatch mode. The 4 maps on release are Relay, which takes place on a remote abandoned relay station, Excavation, a map based on an ancient alien dig site, Blight, a purple alien planet with giant mushrooms, and Hazard Pay, a mining facility featuring rocky terrain and a huge hazardous crusher in the middle of the map. All of the maps are pretty small, meaning it doesn't take long to get into the action, although bigger and more tactical maps would definitely be welcome in the future. Spread throughout the maps are doors which you can close to create choke points, and there's also grapple points which you can use to get to higher ground quickly. In the online multiplayer mode, the game will automatically cycle through various combinations of modes and maps until you decide to leave the lobby. As I mentioned earlier, the game is cross-play between Quest and PC players, and if you don't get a full game of players, the empty slots will be filled with AI bots. This is good in some ways, as you'll always get a full match, but sadly, the AI bots are pretty stupid and will tend to clump together around the objectives, making them easy targets. Thankfully, a matchmaking system is in place if you already have a group of friends you want to play with, which I personally found made for the best experience. As with any hero shooter though, the real stars of the game are the heroes themselves, and Larcenauts doesn't disappoint in this area. You have 8 heroes, all of which have their own unique personalities and playstyles. You have Kalima, an infiltrator with a shotgun who can zip around the map with a dash ability, Evander, a sniper class who has an invisibility skill, Arc L6, a commando robot armed with an assault rifle and slide ability, Bosun, an engineer who can boost her armor when in tight spots and deploy deadly turrets, my personal favorite, Chi, a medic class who can heal the team but also drain enemies' health, Thal, a tank class with a heavy assault weapon and shield ability, Salter, a grenadier who has a devastating dash attack, and finally Vod, an alien brawler who can easily destroy anyone up close with his crazy Stretch Armstrong style punch attacks. All of these characters have their own voice lines, reloading styles, overcharge alt-fire modes, grenades, deployable items, quick skills, and alternative weapon loadouts. There's far too much to go through individually, but no doubt everyone will be able to find a character and a loadout that fits their own personal playstyle. Where Larcenauts really shines is when a team can effectively communicate and leverage the unique abilities of their heroes in synergy with the rest of the team. Alongside all of this is a deep progression system. Each character has 20 unlockable levels which will unlock character skins and power plates which essentially act as slight modifiers. Impulse Gear state that it will take players roughly 30 plus hours to unlock everything for every character. Throughout the game, you'll be rewarded with loot boxes for completing matches which are referred to as heists. Thankfully, these are all earned solely from gameplay and there's no microtransactions for loot boxes. The main ship area serves as the lobby for the game. This is where you can change loadouts, open loot boxes, see challenges, and invite friends into your game. Now this area works well as a jump-off point to gather your team, although each station has a remote control laser pointer which can be used to interact with each station's menu. It feels like a strange design choice as other players control you by taking this remote and hiding it, meaning that you can't use it yourself. I kinda just wish that this was just a finger pointer when navigating these menus instead of this remote control. Skill-based matchmaking is available, but I didn't get the opportunity to see this in action during our test sessions, as we all had maxed out abilities and character skins unlocked from the beginning. Private matches aren't available at launch, but will be coming in a future update. That's a quick overview of the game, now onto the gameplay mechanics themselves. Once in a match, most characters have a sidearm on their hip and a main weapon which is holstered over the right shoulder. You can dual wield these weapons if you wish, although some weapons will be wildly inaccurate if they're not held two-handed to stabilize the recoil. The game uses smooth locomotion throughout, although there are plenty of comfort options which can be enabled, including snap turning and field of view blinders. A grenade is located on your chest which can be physically thrown, which is a nice touch, although I honestly found this wildly inaccurate. Deployed items are tied to the X button on the Oculus touch controller, which are thrown to the ground, and quick skills are tied to the A button. These vary wildly across all the different heroes. Most main weapons in the game have a powerful alt fire mode, which can be activated by holding the supporting hand's trigger button to power it up. You can crouch in the game by pushing in the right thumbstick if playing seated, or you can physically crouch if you're playing standing. Now let's move on to some of my gripes. Firstly, and probably my biggest problem with the game, is the single button press reloading. It looks quite cool on video, but when actually playing the game, you feel totally disconnected from the action. Each character has their own reloading style, which is a nice touch, but again, VR is all about being immersed and feeling like you're in control of the character's body, so when you're not in control of the action, it just doesn't feel right, and removes a lot of the fun of playing a shooter in VR. The developers initially stated they went with this reloading design due to the fast-paced nature of the game, but in my opinion, it just removes any skill, and I would have preferred to learn each of the game's unique weapons' reloading mechanics. I think for this reason alone, competitive players from other big VR multiplayer titles will probably give this game a miss. I should point out that Impulse Gear have teased a roadmap of updates which includes manual reloading in the future, but I have no idea when this is likely to happen. Another initial gripe I had from our preview play sessions with other content creators was the running mechanics. When you run by pushing in the left thumbstick, you no longer control the character's arms, and they swing in a running motion. I found this really jarring, just like the reloading, as you're not in control of your own virtual body's movements. Thankfully though, they've listened to the feedback from some of the creators and have since implemented an immersive sprint mode which can be found in the game's settings. And this feels much more natural in my opinion, whereby you can only sprint when your weapon is facing down, but you still have full control over your gun movement, so you can quickly bring it back up again when needed. On top of this, I encountered a few bugs where textures were missing on items. Sometimes when using skills like the dash move, I would see my gun glitching, and occasionally when dashing, I just wouldn't be able to stand up again straight away. And then finally, the game modes and maps feel a bit stale on launch. As it is a hero shooter after all, a payload game mode with a larger linear map would have definitely been welcome. So in conclusion, there's a lot to like about Larcenauts. The art style, the soundtrack, the voice acting from Jane Lynch as Captain Cass, and the sheer number of characters, skills, weapons, modifiers, and abilities which are unparalleled in any other VR multiplayer title. But sadly, the core gameplay feels like it lacks the polish to take it all the way to the finish line. Strange design choices hold it back, such as the single button reloading, which doesn't leverage the great feeling of playing a shooter in VR and reloading yourself manually, the occasional bugs breaking the game's flow, laser pointer remotes in the lobby area, and no support on PC for other headsets other than Oculus Rift at launch. It feels very much like an early access title in many ways. I'm sure the developers will continue to improve the game over time, but hopefully, like we've seen with other recent VR shooters, it won't be too little, too late. So that's a roundup of Larcenauts. Ultimately, I think the game has a lot of potential, and it can still be fun with a group of friends online, but in my eyes, it falls a little short from being a great game right now due to some strange design choices. It's a shame that Impulse Gear didn't open up this game during its development with a community beta, as we've seen that's a proven and successful development tool with some hugely popular online multiplayer VR titles in the past, like Population 1 and Hyperdash, for example. I think had they done that, they would have gotten a lot of valuable feedback from the community a long time ago, which they could have used to tweak the game and ultimately make it better for its launch. But with that said, they do have a roadmap of updates ahead, so let's just hope the game evolves and ultimately improves over time. But that's just my opinion. I'd love to know what you all think about Larcenauts in the comments down below. How do you feel about the single button push reloading? What features and content would you like to see added to improve the game in the future? I'd love to know in the comments down below. Leave a like if you found the video useful, make sure you're subscribed for all my future VR content, and as always, I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.